I think most of Bama Nation is in a better spot than we were before after this Texas A&M game. I think that Alabama came out with a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder. I think that Alabama played solid throughout the game. I thought, when we played and we were executing, we were sound. I think the defense stepped up. Defensive line stepped up big, is what we expected out of defensive line. The offensive line still had a bunch of mishaps with the false start penalties, but I thought the offensive line did very well blocking, pass blocking, because the run just was almost non-existent in this game. But I think where we are as a nation is we see Jalen Milroe progressing, and his week over week progression has been something that we should definitely take note to and definitely be proud of and excited about when it comes to seeing him be able to throw the ball in the pocket. As he has set career highs, I think completions, yardage, touchdowns. I think completion and yardage, I believe. But this is a good. I think it's a good game for him to see his progression of a quarterback, and that's what we want to diagnose. We really want to diagnose: is he, throwing the ball better from the pocket? Is he making the reads? Is he throwing the ball away when he needs to throw the ball away? Other than that one interception, I think that for the most part of the game, he was most of the time was on target. Uh, I love Jermaine Burton. He's got to stay humble, but I love Jermaine Burton. He's starting to become a breakout, be that route runner that we see, the guy who can get open. Apparently, Tommy Rees saw something in the offense, in the secondary where they felt they can take advantage of the one-on-one competition. And typically, when you see like teams like really playing the run, they're stuff in the box. We have man coverage on the outside, and we can take advantage of those mismatches. Whether they're playing cover 3, cover 4, cover 9, they almost play like it's a man coverage where it's some type of press bail where they tap them and go back, but it's still some type of man coverage where we can take advantage of it depending on how they're playing it. We took advantage of double moves. We took advantage of comebacks. Took advantage of the deep route. Things that would typically play or run against these kind of softer coverages and or press man coverages where their main goal is to cover a half or a third or a quarter of the field. Tommy Rees, I said this in my previous videos. Jalen Milroe passes the ball very, very well when he has a nice pocket. So when he has a nice pocket, he passes the ball well. So when the pocket was clean, they almost were at max protect sometimes, seeing people on short, 2-3 man routes. But Jalen Milroe was hitting them because they realized that if there's going to be good protection, more than likely it's going to be some type of man coverage or single coverage, and they can throw the ball deep. And that's what they did. They took advantage of it. He was wildly. We all know how accurate he is as a deep passer. We all know that he has an arm strength, and when he stands in there, he stands tall. It's not that he runs from the pocket so quickly; it's the fact that he can throw the ball in the pocket. So what we saw out of Jalen Milroe is what we've been hoping to see out of him against, like Nick Saban said, competitive teams. Texas A&M is a competitive team. This is a team that's going to play in a bowl game that has NFL caliber players across the board. Offense execution is going to continue to be the key. Offense execution is going to be very important. Making sure that we're not, there's no penalties, no false starts. If I look at this, look at the team stats, it's probably, like they said, Nick Saban's probably going to say something about it. But this team was penalized 14 times for 99 yards. I'm not sure how many false starts there were, but illegal motion. I'm not sure if the illegal man downfield, but that part of execution makes it harder for you to win games. When you have 14 penalties compared to 4 on the road for 99 yards, you don't expect to win that game. You're not supposed to win that game. Fortunately enough, the defense stepped up and we won the game. But the safety in the end zone, but the offense execution is going to have to be a continued focus, and this is something that's been happening for the past 3 years. False starts, false starts, not, illegal motion, the center, and can quarterback not on key. I mean, you're watching the game thinking like, man, can we ever just have a 1st and 10? Alabama almost rarely had a 1st and 10 throughout the whole game. Well, they did, but it was almost like every other play. But overall, I thought Alabama on offense executed well. I would like to see them run the ball more, but I'm not so upset about it because I like to see them run the ball more. But if a team's going to play the run, we have to be capable of passing, and that's what I was looking for. Now we were capable of passing, and I was definitely excited about that. On the defensive side, I thought the front four played solid. Our DBs were out of position a couple times. Our DBs got beat a couple times. But the front four did not allow Max Johnson to sit back. Mini Brad Johnson to sit back and make throws. They did well against the run. 35 carries, only averaged less than 2 yards on the ground. They stopped the run with 2 yards on the ground. Pass for 239. Got to the quarterback. How many sacks did they have? Got to the quarterback 5 times. I thought that was exceptional. And then we had 6 TFL tackle for losses, which was good, and 2 PDs. The DBs though have to learn how to cover not with their hands, and we got away. I feel like we got away with the call pass interference penalties. The DB's gonna have to do a better job. Our secondary is gonna have to do a better job of being in position and playing through the ball as opposed to holding or bumping or grabbing or pushing, and then be in position to get or vulnerable to get a pass interference call. There were a couple of overthrows we were fortunate to kind of get away with as well too, but the front four really set the tone. Dallas Turner, I think he's turning into a first round draft pick, first round, top 10 draft pick, and we've been watching him over the past couple of years, see him kind of emerge. Who's the other guy? Marshall. Where's my guy? It wasn't Treasure. Oh, Chris Braswell. Chris Braswell was a reckoning in there, and it was good to see him. Good to see him kind of, step up. Tim Smith, those big hog mollies in the middle, they're really making things hard for the opposing offensive lines. Malachi Moore, we'll see what happens to him. See what's going on with him. From what it looked like an ankle sprain. I'm not sure if it was a high or low ankle sprain, but from seeing him on the sidelines walking, I think that he'll be okay. Even though he was carted off the field, it's an ankle injury. Typically, depending on the severity of it, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. Depending on it is. Nick Saban, let's see what he said about. I think twisted ankle, suffered an injury. Said left with crutch in the boot. Said he's dealing with a twisted ankle. So we can be anywhere 3 to 4 weeks. I like Caleb Downs in that position. I like Caleb Downs. Kind of coming in playing that star position. He's a smart. He's a freshman, but he's smart. I think he can cover well. He can play the run. Having a guy like Caleb Downs and just with being able to replace if they move into that position is going to be ideal, because filling that star position is going to take somebody who's smart and knows the defense. They even maybe move Kool-Aid in that position, and then have some of the younger guys come up and play DB. But overall, I think that the secondary. I said before the season, the secondary has the ability to be the best secondary in college football if they play sound. If they're not playing sound, then they're not gonna live up to their full potential. Loved Jason McKellen. Big catch. Was excited that happy that he made that catch. Way to get out. Get it out. Jalen Milroe as well too. But overall, I think it's a good, solid win going into a tough stadium. Of course, we know the infamous 12th man. Going to a tough stadium and getting a win. And then being able to pass the way we passed, and the defensive line, stepped up. Where do I see us moving in the rankings? I don't know. There's a lot going on. Of course, USC went down, but USC lost to number 12 Oklahoma. Oklahoma's probably going to jump us. They haven't lost a game yet, so they're probably going to jump Alabama. And then, of course, Notre Dame went down, which is good. But Notre Dame lost to a undefeated Louisville. Now, are they going to put Louisville? People from Louisville say Louisville, but Louisville? Are they going to put Louisville in front of Alabama? I don't think so. I think that where you can move Alabama really is just to the 10th spot. We may stay at the 11th spot because there's some teams that won their games that are like North Carolina's undefeated. Do you put an undefeated North Carolina in front of Alabama? That's the question. I think who else? Alabama. I think that's about it. So we may very well stay in the same exact spot than we were before. Um, Oregon State beat Cal. Oregon State, I believe, is undefeated. Yes, undefeated. Oh, 5-1. Now, 5-1. Oregon State's not better than the 5-1 Alabama, so they're probably going to stay in that same exact spot. I don't expect them to move at all. But the schedule we start getting into our schedule where it's not necessarily lighter, but we have Arkansas, which Arkansas is playing some good football. KJ Jefferson is once again is always a reckon to deal with. And today they played LSU today. No, who did they play today? They played Ole Miss today. I think they beat Ole Miss today. I may be wrong, but let me check to see because I was watching that game. Yeah, actually they lost to Ole Miss. Jefferson got picked off twice, but you never know. You never know. I think it's a lighter game. We're playing them at home, so I'm excited that we're playing them at home. Then we play Tennessee at home, which is it's a revenge game. LSU, Kentucky, Chattanooga, and Auburn. When we think about the SEC West standings, I think it's something that we can actually get to the SEC championship game with the one loss. And where's the wiggle room, right? We're pretty much at midseason. When looking at Alabama, we're looking at the margin of error, right? What is the margin of error that Alabama has to get to play in the national championship game, right? And I say that because if Alabama gets to if Alabama suddenly loses one, right? They lose one. They lose another conference game, right? So they end up being 3-1 in the conference. But you beat Ole Miss, you beat LSU, and you beat Ole Miss, you beat A&M, and you beat LSU. You can sneak into the SEC championship game with 2 losses, and if you win the SEC championship game, then you're pretty much it's an automatic bid into the next college football playoff. Sorry, my video cut off. There's no way. So basically, there's no way the SEC champion does not get into the college football playoff. So this is where you want. This is essentially where you want. To the wiggle room, the margin of error that you have to work with. Hey, if we lose if we lose one more game, conference game, that's fine, right? You lose to a Tennessee, or I think the real losses that Alabama can really get choked up on are LSU and Auburn. Those are two losses that I think that even if Auburn's trash, Auburn is losing. Those are the big loss. I'm not really intimidated by Tennessee, especially having them at home. Tennessee, I think it was overhyped when the season started. I think that we expected them to be a little bit better than they were. I mean, Milton's kind of like Jalen Milroe. It's a big arm, but it's not the best decision maker. And they just lost to I think they beat A&M. They just lost to they just lose to. They beat South Carolina. They lost to Florida. That was the loss they had to Florida. But I think I'm not really afraid about Tennessee. I think the biggest one we have to worry about is LSU. We win that one. That's because when you think about athletes, and it's just who executes better. LSU has the athletes. I think LSU and Georgia are the 2 teams that really have the athletes to match Alabama when it comes to just a pure talent level. So the road for Alabama, there's a small margin of error. Not that we want to test that out. There's a small margin of error, but continuing to build that out is going to be very, very important. Continuing to build out wins after wins after wins. You have some momentum. You have confidence in the quarterback. Now it's keep that momentum going. Steamroll Arkansas. And then go throughout your schedule. Win the game you're supposed to win. I'd be surprised. To be honest with you, I probably would be surprised if Georgia doesn't take a loss. If Georgia takes a loss, I won't be surprised of it. I think they have their schedule kind of coming up is really have big games against Ole Miss. That's their biggest opportunity really to take a loss. I don't really see anybody else in their schedule really challenging them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to Ole Miss. But regardless of it, the ultimate goal is to play Georgia and beat Georgia in the championship game because that's who you're going to face. They pretty much it's pretty much going to roll with it. Kentucky is, even if Georgia loses one, which they won't, they pretty much are going to beat everybody else in the con. Like, it's going to be Georgia in that SEC championship game, and we're going to see how much they're made of. If Georgia loses, we probably know they may make it in the national college football playoff. You know, is Georgia a top 14? Yes, they are. So we'll see how the Alabama season plays out. Good win for us. Continue to build on it. Recover. Get healthy is a big thing. And if Tommy Rees can continue to dial up stout plays for Milroe where he's protecting in the pocket, he's going to continue to excel.